Or the you're live.
Welcome to A to Z with Ali and Zilla, where we take you from real world challenges to practical solutions.
From mindset and manifestation to culture, community, and building better systems born. This isn't just talk.
Let's get into it.
Right, we're back live, and today it's all about who's shaping America for 2050. Got a silent takeover. Who's going to shape the world that we're entering into over the next few decades? This is an important topic that we really want to dive deep into because, hey, it's the future, especially if you plan on being around, if you have children. It's important to talk about what's really going on, what's shaping our reality that we're living in. I'm Rodzilla, putting the Z in A to Z. Oyanga Ali, what's up, man?
What's up, man? Yeah, this is a very important thing because it's about what we are going to leave our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. How are we going to leave this world for them? All the things that are happening right now, and there's so many different things that are happening that are connected to create this future. And we're actually looking at 2050, right? Some of us
Yeah,
ain't going to be
2050.
here that long. Some of us are going to be at the point to where we're not able to change anything, but we're going to see it. You know what I mean? Um,
Sure.
but this right now is very important. We're going to hit a lot of areas that need to be focused on, right?
Yeah.
And it is really one of those things to where, hey, everybody has some input, and everybody's
Absolutely.
input is important because everybody's living a different life and have different angles of viewing this. You know,
Yeah.
I seen a lady that was talking about she was in a different idea, but she was like, so if people are going to fight against everybody, I mean, if people are going to stand up and fight, who's going to be here when they die to help us? It's like, okay, if we're fighting for our freedoms, because that's pretty much what she was talking about, and fighting for the change, and or not to change. However, her mind was into the Israel takeover and all this other stuff, and us being the new Palestinians. That was my idea. She didn't say that, but but she was basically saying she's not going to fight. She's not a fighter. She just wants to uh, be around and live the change. So she has a viewpoint, and it is important for everybody to see because everybody's not going to take arms if we are invaded. Everybody's not going to be able to speak and motivate people. Some people are going to have to be seamstress. Some people are going to have to grow some food. Some people are going. Everybody has their own talents, but that's what we're getting into right now. And we're not
Yeah,
talking
man.
about so much solves, but we're bringing in awareness to a lot of these situations. One of the
Yeah.
situations that we have, if you don't mind me going ahead jumping straight into it, is about the
Uh,
flock cameras. Do you mind? Do you mind?
I mean, you already opened the window, man. Flock cameras. Uh, like you say, before you get into it, yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
dive deep. So if you're around, we're gonna look at the flock cameras, security, what things we need to be on the lookout for because it all kind of is intertwined. These flock cameras that Ali is gonna dive into is technology. Technology is gonna shape the future. We have to find out our place in it, how we can use it to our advantage or get left behind, and that's really the reality. So it's not only a physical war; it's a war of data, information. What's that guy, Alex Jones, who always his name of his show was Infowars, right?
InfoWars. Yeah.
Infowars, which it's all about the info. Knowledge is power, and we're gonna bring some knowledge and perspective on a lot of different topics from economics. Uh, healthcare, so on and so forth. So these topics all touch each and every one of us. So I'm ready to dive into it, man. Let's hit it. So flock cameras, what's going on
Okay.
with them?
Okay. So some people don't know what a flock camera is. A flock camera is automatic license plates reader. That's what it's supposed to only be, right? And some police departments use it, private businesses use it, and everything like that for their data. Now, what we are seeing here in Las Vegas when it comes to the flock cameras, there's flock cameras all around where I live. We have a shopping center called a shopping area called downtown Summerlin. That's right next to the Red Rock Hotel Casino. And there's like a whole bunch of flock cameras at every angle around there. And one of the things about these flock cameras, they're not supposed to show pictures of people's faces. Not supposed to take pictures or anything like that. But they have that capability. They also have the capability to tap into Bluetooth devices, right? And if they're tapping into your Bluetooth device, we still got to remember what is connected to that. Remember they had trace contacting when
Oh yeah, contact tracing during
yeah
2020.
yeah
Yep.
for that, that's still involved. That hasn't went away. They're just not talking about it as far as into the Bluetooth capabilities of these flock cameras. Also, these flock cameras have the ability to not just contact trace, but know everybody who's in your vehicle without seeing who's in your vehicle. You know, they have these flock cameras are supposedly, now this is the good side of what flock cameras supposed to do, like Amber alerts. They can find the vehicle and be like, oh, this is where it's at, this is where it's at, this is where it's at now, this is where it's not. So it's like triangling the position of it. And that's a beautiful thing. It also has the ability to run speed. You know, they would say it doesn't have that, but from one flock camera to another flock camera, there's a time span between those two, so it can tell if you're speeding. You know what I mean? Also
Oh
because
yeah, for sure.
also because it jumps into your Bluetooth, your phone. If you have your location on, your phone tells people how fast you're going. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the police can use it for that purpose too. And now most of the flock cameras aren't used by the United States government. So this is the main problem. Who is looking at your information? You know, who is the ones taking care of it? Now, there are a lot of communities right now that have fought against it. And, you know, people are destroying this property because it is private property. It's not governmental property, you know, and they're destroying it. But the people who are putting it up are sometimes, like, for communities that are fighting against it, aren't putting it up with legally or properly through legal avenues. So they're able to get them down. But once they figure that out, they'll put them up, and we will have that. You know what I mean?
Let me what comes to
Go ahead.
mind, man, as you're talking about this is the Internet of Things. Are you familiar with this Internet of Things they were talking about building out over the next couple of decades? But it's really already here. The
Yeah,
Internet of Things is where everything is interconnected. So cars, um, smart cameras, smartphones, smart watches, and all these different devices that we use creates the Internet of Things where everything is connected.
yeah,
And what you're talking about with these flock cameras, it seems like we're all right. We can argue. I know in certain states, like in Oregon here, they enacted what's called Senate Bill 1516, which limits the ability for law enforcement to do certain things. They have time restrictions. They're not allowed to go into the cameras just like anytime they want, just for any purpose. Nevada's different. I kind of looked into your laws. There's no real laws in Nevada.
right,
So the states and people are fighting it. But the point I wanted to make is that this web is already built up around us. It's just a matter of how much access is granted legally for different organizations, et cetera. Because almost everybody has a smartphone. Almost everyone has some type of device, whether it's your TV, whether it's your camera at home. So I guess the point I'm making is how do we, I mean, is this even a fight that we could win at this point? Because the infrastructure is largely built up. It's more a matter of kind of how it's being
Right.
used.
Right. I don't think it's a fight that we can win because it's not so much the government that is putting this up. These are
Yeah,
um corporations. And it's not just
yeah,
one corporation, it's like three, you know, excuse me, that have put this up. So we're fighting against the corporations, and these corporations are already knee deep embedded into government policies and stuff. So it's like it almost feels like when we went to Korea, right? We went to
yeah.
Korea, and when we was in Japan, and this was just a couple years ago, the people in Korea was like, hey, if you we was talking about theft and guns and everything and what's the crime, and they was like, look, if you drop your wallet right here and you come back tomorrow, your wallet will probably only be inside the store. But if you come back later on today, your wallet is going to be right there on the ground. Nobody's going to pick it up and they're pointing at different cameras that are around. And it's like, if you know stuff about China, what they talked about is the social credit score, right? The social credit score. This is the buildup to get a social credit score here because of the contact tracing. They know everywhere an individual is going. If you go to the other side of town, they know that you're there. Not just so much being by your location on your phone, but other industries know where you're at now. And
For sure.
we don't know who all has this information, because if you have what's that? An Apple phone, how many other games?
Life 360.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
how many other entities are connected to that phone that you give permission to? And then you got Android. Like you said, Life 360. There's other entities that have access to that they made deals to give up your information to, that you agreed to allow them to give up your information. So, and
one of the,
not just
I
you,
was gonna
but
say,
we all.
yeah, for sure. I was gonna say one of the things we're gonna dive into a little bit later is like the jobs of the future. Is one of the biggest things is gonna be personal data security, like how you can keep your own personal data secure because of this scenario you're just talking about. Who's sharing? Because it's no secret that this is out. Like as far as that, I remember that game Pokemon Go when everyone was having fun with that.
Yeah,
Behind the scenes, it was really designed to see if we can get one person to go to a specific location and track them getting to that location. And they were, but
yeah,
it was disguised on let's just see what Pokemon is. Like it was a fun thing. But behind the scenes, that's what it was really about. Can we get a person to move in a way that we want them to move? And I
right,
always think of Judge Dredd, right? Because you're talking about in Korea, pre-crime is one of the things that's this technology is implemented for, not only to prevent crime, but to get to a place where you can read thoughts and prevent a crime.
right,
Uh, is uh is where the technology is leading to, and I mean, I personally think is there already. It's just a matter of like we were saying, like who has access and who and how can it be accessed right now.
right. Like the Minority Report, exactly what you're saying. And some of those tools that they were using were not government tools, even in the movies. So they are preparing us for it. And what you said, who has access to it? And there are flock cameras around children's play areas, you know, and that is a concern. Like there should be a safe spot where there are no flock cameras, where there are no tracking, but it makes sense to some people because we're like, well, if there's a pedophile there, we would like to know, right? You would like to know if there is one. But who's on the other side of this camera? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Where are the
So
lines getting blurred, right? Between
exactly.
protection and too much surveillance, you
Yeah,
know.
how much of it are we giving up for the sake of protection?
It makes me think, man, is our privacy a right anymore? Because it seems like this data is being shared so freely, or is it going to become a luxury? One of those cryptocurrencies that's out, what's it called? Monero, which is supposed to be one that's designed to shield your own personal information. It's going to be a luxury in the future to be able to keep your data private, you
Oh
know?
yeah, it is now because I don't know if you remember quite a few years ago when they was talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce's phone bill and other people's phone
No.
bill. Yeah, there was like their phone bills like $20,000 or $15,000. I'm like crazy. Why is their phone and their phones cost so much money? And it is for that privacy. You know what I
So
mean?
if you can buy a phone that's completely private, is what you're saying, and it could just cost lot more money.
Exactly.
Is
And
that what you're saying?
we're gonna touch on that when we speak about the healthcare, how things are better, but it's gonna be way more expensive,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, as far as getting the luxury of your own privacy, it's already happening now, but it's gonna be even worse. Or not worse, tighter, more extensive in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, what's kind of the most alarming thing for you when it comes to these flock cameras? I know it was something you really wanted to touch on. Is it just the ability to be private? Is it the ability to store it, or is it just overreach by the corporations?
Oh,
And
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I just
Yeah,
believe it's an overreach by the corporations. And because we don't know what they're using it for. We really don't know, other than just information gathering, but it is a control mechanism. And who else is using it? The police are going to use it. We're just getting tighter and tighter on what our freedoms are. And it's going to make us more aware, which is not really necessarily to me a good a good thing to be forced to be aware,
sure.
because now we have to be aware of who we are hanging around, because of the possibility of social credit score. Hey, has this person ever been to jail? He's a good person, but he's been to jail. My social credit score goes down 2 points because this is my buddy. And my buddy now, even though he's a good person, he still has friends that are tied into other things, possibly. I
Yeah.
don't know. So now my social credit score goes down more because I went to his birthday party, and now I'm around Pablo from the or whoever from the cartel that murdered somebody that they know about, and I don't have no clue who this guy is, but we're in contact with each other. So
Yeah, no doubt.
it's just weird.
I would like to throw this in, man, because um, oftentimes in our minds as citizens, right, we separate the fact that the largest corporation is the federal government because it collects all the data. So in a sense, not the data, the revenue, like tax revenue from all the corporations,
Right,
they pay into it. So it's kind of managing all the corporations in a sense, right? Or it has some at least a relationship with all the corporations from a taxation standpoint
right,
and legislation standpoint and from regulating how business and commerce flows. So we can say that all that information kind of flows up to one top. And when you think about it that way, and a corporation's only goal is generally to make profit and to stay around. And we have what they call a consumer-based economy. And the consumer-based economy, as we as citizens spend money into the economy, we keep it going, and we keep the economy or the country or the companies alive by spending money into the companies, which then
right.
keeps the corporation alive. So So the goal, I would think, then is to just continue to extract data from the citizens in order to keep them consuming, in order to no matter what it is, whether it's consuming sports, whether it's consuming food, whether it's consuming um, shoes and luxury items, to continue to extract the data to use that to the advantage to keep the corporations going. A lot of it is that, and you can break that out in a lot of different ways of how that really works. Um, but it's no, and the power is in the people, right? The power is in the people, because if the people continue to have their data extracted and used to their advantage, and we can know this because you'll have a conversation with someone, and next thing you know, you got an ad about the conversation you had.
Right.
Well, the power is in the people because the data is being used to, like you say, control, whether that control be how we spend our money, how we spend our time, how we spend our attention. It's up to us to determine how much we plug into that or how much we unplug from that, because the power is truly in the people. Because without the people's consent or continuing to buy or continuing to give your attention to things, then the corporations, in a sense, can't continue to thrive. So,
That's 100% true, but there are mechanisms that are subliminal that we don't
yeah,
really have control over. And if you remember, this is back when we was younger. They was talking about subliminal messaging when they just put extra scent in the air for McDonald's. You can smell McDonald's, and
French
now
fry
all of a
air coming
sudden,
up.
yeah, or like a grill, and then they start having like the subliminal messages with the tones inside of the commercials, right? And
Yeah.
then they started talking about subliminal messaging through the blips on the phone, like the phone lights up, but we can't really see it because it's at a spectrum that we can't see, but our it does trigger something in our brain, right? So we have all these other things that are going on that we have to fight against. But we're not really getting into that, but it is keeping us involved into not being able to shut off, you know.
Okay, I totally get what you're saying, for sure. For sure. So, um, in a sense, it's you saying that this is a much more difficult battle to fight than simply just being consciously aware of, I'm going to turn this off, I'm not going to pay attention, because we're getting messages that we're not even aware of to
Exactly.
do certain things. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly
that's
what I'm
real,
saying.
man. That's real. And you know, we wanted to dive into where all this kind of leads to, and because I think it's so closely related to this article I came across the other day about where we're going in 2050. And it was written by this freelance writer here, and it talks about so many different things. I think it was 12 different. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see. I can see it.
Yeah, man. Just, and I wanted to kind of, maybe we can hit all 12. We'll see how it goes, but how the landscape is changing. First of all, just America over the next few decades is going to change in color and race. And we see that kind of happening, right? But we also see the fight against it when they're trying to, limit migration. You can get into deportations and all those things, but how the population over time is becoming more, you're going to see more non-Hispanic whites will be falling, and the Hispanic population will grow substantially. Even Asian Americans will have doubled. Even expecting more Black Americans to African Americans will have grown by 30% as well. So the not only is America changing uh, informationally, but also in color, man. You got any thoughts on it?
Nah, not my thoughts are basically how they're saying that minority. There's no way that we could be the minority, or not. I mean, like if this is a
People
melt,
of color,
well,
is
yeah,
that what you
people,
mean?
yeah, people of color, but like I understand they're breaking it into different groups of people
Yeah.
who are um minorities, but it's also in that regard, there's French Americans, there are, British Americans. They're not just American, you know what I mean, themselves. You got African Americans, you got Asian Americans, like you got different countries. So it's like I don't really want to get into I don't really want to get into that one, dude. I really don't, because it's the world
I,
is changing. The world is changing. You
you know
know,
what? What is interesting? What I will say that's interesting about race, right? People will say, like, quote unquote, black people are the minority, but around the world, there's more people who are, I would say, non-white than there are white people. If you
yeah,
look at like
100%.
Brazilians, Japanese, Chinese, uh, and that's just an observation. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it. It's just an observation. Like when you keep hearing yourself referred to as a minority, it can kind of place a certain thought about where you are in a society.
Yeah,
So just something to be aware of.
yeah. That's why I don't want to talk about, because that can bring up a lot of hostility and discontent in emotions or feelings or whatever
All
for
right.
groups of people. And I want everybody to love everybody. And
Absolutely. At the end of the day, man, it always trips me out too. Like when we look at when it's voting time, they say, "Oh, you got to do this to get the black vote, or you got to do this to get the Hispanic vote." It's so ridiculous to me. Like, are we all Americans or we not? Are we
exactly,
all like what are we doing?
exactly. And it's there is a separation tool. It sounds like like even when they do Jerry mandering, right? Or jerry rigging,
Gerrymandering? Is that what you're
yeah,
talking about?
gerrymandering with the lines and doing the district.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
like war. You know,
Okay.
it's a war, but it's a political war, but it's based off of race. And it's not something that I feel comfortable with. I hope that with the more and more minorities, supposedly minorities, becoming more robust in the United States, the melting pot getting, bigger.
Melted and get more melty. Yeah, get
Yeah, that becomes irrelevant.
yeah,
That's
that would be
that's what I'm
nice,
hoping.
right?
Yeah,
That's a great way to put it, bro. That's a great way to put it. That would be nice if we could make that an irrelevant topic at some point.
but this one right
Number
here, this one, the population will be older than it has ever been. This is the one that kind of gets me, because that means they're going to have way more control of our grandchildren, of our children, of our great grandchildren, because there's all of us. We're going to be around. We're going to be around, but that means we're going to be dying off even quicker. So we won't be we won't be able to pass on a lot of our knowledge to these younger ones, because they're going to be coddled so much. But go ahead.
No, I mean, this is an interesting one because it says at the same time the population is getting older, right? And
Yeah,
a lot of the reasons why I think the population might be getting older is because of healthcare, in a sense, is becoming more automated through technology. So the technology is allowing us to, you know, maybe 3D print organs and hook us up to things like infrared saunas and things that are supposed to help. And there's a lot of topics going on now about people hacking longevity through different things from uh, hormone replacement therapy or exercise components that are be getting exercise getting more customized, healthcare becoming more customized. So people are getting older because of those things. But at the same time, um, this is saying that how are we going to take care of them? You're just going to dive into that a little bit later. So this is an interesting one, man. We're getting older, so elder care is going to change, and we're gonna have older people. But who's going to take care of them? Because the population also is going to grow as well with more older people. And I saw something that came up the other day talking about millennials not really wanting to take care of their older parents. So we're faced with that too.
I like that they call the sandwich generation. That's funny. That's funny.
Who's in the sandwich, man? Like they putting the older people in or is it
I
us? Are
think
we in the
so.
sandwich?
I
Okay.
think that's us. I think that's us. We maybe people don't eat sandwiches. The young people don't eat sandwiches anymore. I don't know. No, that's just funny. That's a funny name for this for
Yeah,
us.
it's saying that. Yeah, it is funny. I mean, healthcare is changing, but yeah, like I say, me and you, our children not gonna want to take care of us like generations past. In other countries, there's more extended families, which we'll get into housing in a little bit, and they would
Yeah,
take care of the elderly. We tend to throw them, put ours away. So it's gonna be interesting to see how there's more older people, but how are we gonna take care of them, man? Probably gonna be like the Matrix, where they just sit around in houses on machines.
see, when we get into that, I think it's right now. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I think they're trying to push us into a place to where the older people do not get taken care of because they're making the houses smaller. They're making the rooms in the houses smaller. So there's no room to take care of the older people. You know what I mean? There was
Yeah,
a
that's interesting. Yeah,
episode
for sure.
there was an episode on Star Trek. Yeah, I'm a Trekkie. But there was an episode on Star Trek where they was like there was people that once they hit 65, they were put to death, you know, but their culture was built like that. Even though they had the ability to live like 100 and some years old because of their health care, they said that being older is a burden to the
Yeah,
children because they don't want to have to be taken care of. Even though a person can be healthy and take care of themselves, like my mother's 80 and she can take care of herself. She's taking care of herself now. We do support her. Her children does support her, as far as whatever, if she needs some money or whatever. But they're moving more. I mean, they're moving closer and closer to that by making the houses smaller. Now, the reason why I was talking about the melting pot because there are cultures that are like, hey, grandma or mom lives with us. Their
yeah,
houses are big enough. And even if their houses aren't big enough, they still live with us. We take care of our own. Hopefully, that the melting pot creates that in America. Hopefully, that is more. It
yeah,
becomes a culture of people living in tribes again, tribe-ish, at least
yeah,
families
for
to
sure.
take care of each other. But go ahead with the other one because that
Yeah, man.
blends
So
with healthcare and the next
yeah,
one.
it all kind of blends together. We'll hit it. Yeah, man. We're just talking about how America's shifting between now and 2050. Looking at this article, third one, the workforce will be shrinking, and we see this one happening every day, man. The workforce is not only shrinking, but it's changing. The share of Americans aged 65 and older reaching 21.2% by 2050, representing 78 million people, while the share of the population under 45 is projected to decrease. So workers are going to have to fill many roles. Um, the labor shortage and the automation story, just taking over. So things are becoming automated in this blue collar worker space. I came across an article a while ago that was talking about something that Trump implemented in regards to how the labor workforce is shifting. And as AI takes over, there's still jobs that AI can't do, right? So
Right. A
um,
few.
so they were starting to get a few starting to get more apprenticeships online and bring that back into the fold as a way to educate the workforce of the future.
Yeah.
And education is shifting from the bottom up. We see more. I mean, your wife's a teacher. My wife was a teacher as well. They're getting ready. They said they're getting ready to close down 8 elementary schools next school year here where I am in Salem Kaiser School District. So they're closing elementary schools. They don't have the funding. So I think one of the ways to help this shrinking workforce, and if because the graduation rates are what they are, they said that Oregon graduates aren't as literate as they used to be. So another fix for that would be apprenticeships and getting people into the job labor market that way.
Yeah, that right there is kind of good, but
Yeah,
you can
I think
still
so.
see this. You can still see the seed from when this was planted. When they start doing what not trader schools, charter schools. When they started doing charter schools, there's like, okay, here's another way to educate your child, you know, and then educate your child at home. They've been pulling for years. Hey, let's get rid of education. Donald Trump, um, not just him, but Common Core,
Yeah.
all these things been happening in the United States government to not so much dumb us down, right? Not so much dumb us down, but
I can read
to
between the lines.
but to scale education to a smaller level. And I do personally believe that when they did when they did COVID, that was a beta test for the schools to see how people actually respond to um, teaching, teachers teaching from home. And if they can teach from home, let's go ahead and add the AI to it because the AI can do just what a teacher was doing if the teacher's not there. So I think that part is bad because children are losing tactile contact. They're losing the ability to be bullied, to become a bully, to fight and defend yourself amongst other people that are around you. You know what I mean? They're being made more docile by this. But that's where we're going. We done seen that, and that's just as far as education goes. But as far as the workforce, hey, they have self checkout now. You got to go to the store and work. That's the goofiest thing I've ever seen, in my
Self
opinion.
checkout.
Yeah, that's that. I
I
don't like
hate it,
self
dude.
checkout,
It's annoying. I try
huh?
not to go to it. What if piggybacking on what you said, man. When you go to the self checkout, you know how you'll mess up one, and then all of a sudden you see yourself on the screen. It's so weird, bro. It's like
Right?
you kind
Like,
of forget those cameras are up there, then it puts you on the screen. It's like, man, I guess we're being watched at all times,
yeah,
which goes back to what we initially started this conversation with, man. The flock cameras. I mean, they're in the grocery store. It's everywhere, man.
yeah,
Always being surveilled. So it's wild, man.
yeah.
It's wild.
They're doing it at the fast food, and like we had this conversation before. Even here in Vegas, and they probably got it in a lot of other places, but they got places where you can get a smoothie, a machine that gives you a smoothie. They got machines here that make pizza slices for you. You know, um, so I mean, like, there's a lot of people think that a lot of jobs are going to be still around, but when they're cooking your food from a vending machine, you know, or uh, they have all these flock cameras, what will they actually need security for? You know, security personnel. They're not going to need too much of it. It's not going to be a big industry because everybody will be able to, hey, that person punched that guy in the face. And the more we get hands off of, with this, and more people, we start relying on the police to come and, hey, this person is the person who actually done it, the less crime is going to happen, just like they do in Korea. We don't believe that because we're like, nah, it's not going to turn out less like that. But it has worked in other countries. It will work
Yeah,
here. It might get rough for a second, but there's enough police force now to include ICE to and the way they're trying to put the IDF here, there's enough police force here to
for sure.
correct that
And,
situation.
absolutely. And it's always been too. I was having a conversation with someone the other day at work about crime. Even in a quote unquote bad neighborhood, you only have like 1% of the people in that neighborhood committing all the crimes.
Right.
And most of the people in the quote unquote bad areas or bad neighborhoods are generally good people, right? So it's not gonna. Why do you laugh? It's not gonna. So it's not. My point I was making. It's not gonna take much because the average person is not really into committing crimes in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why I was laughing is because when you said that, the 1% of the people in the neighborhood are the ones that are committing the crime. It's not everybody in the neighborhood. I'm not going to say these people's names just because I'm not going to say their names and other people know them. But when I was growing up,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was three people. If there was a crime committed, if somebody's house was broken into, if if something was broken, like anything, we knew who done it. We just didn't know which one of the three. You know, if somebody was getting into a fight, we know who was the ones fighting. We knew
We
everything.
just call we just
And
call him Ray
we
Ray or Pookie or something.
yeah, it was like, yeah, Brian did that trash. We know he did
Yeah, for
it.
sure, man. No
You
doubt.
know? So I mean, yeah, so that was such a true statement. That was such a true statement.
Yeah, and yeah, so the point I was making, man, it's gonna be easy to implement, and in a way, right? I mean, that is a better society in a sense, right? In terms of, we really don't have to worry about crime no more. I mean, I want to live in a world like that. I
Yeah,
want my children and my grandchildren to live in a world like that. But there's trade-offs, right? There's trade-offs. The trade-offs are you're tracked everywhere. What are you gonna do? Man, this next one, we've already kind of hit on it, man. Artificial
yes, we are.
intelligence will restructure white collar work. Um, I mean, it seems like we're going to a place where it's going to be primarily white collar work in the future. People are continuing to transition. Things are becoming more automated. For younger people in the workforce, you train for at 22, the job you end up in may not be the same at 42 because things are uh, consistently training. You hear, people are going to school now to become educators. But what is education even going to look like in another decade? It might be automated by AI.
Yeah,
Some of
you
the,
talk about a decade, another 5 years,
yeah, I
another
mean,
four
5 years.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's being implemented really quickly, man. I work in a government agency, so things are a little bit slow as far as adopting AI. And that's the one thing about corporations. They're very nimble. Like these private companies, they're jumping on this AI tech quick, and that's what it's saying. This thing is being implemented at an alarming rate. Either you're going to get on or you're going to get left behind. I was looking at some of the jobs that's going to be, um, jobs that I guess jobs you want to get into that are going to be successful jobs in the future. It's going to be things like cloud architects, healthcare specialists who know how to understand technology and work with it, um, automation engineers, AI people who can implement AI. Of course, sales leaders are always going to be top notch. Um, Cybersecurity is going to be a huge job in the future, just because for the reasons we were talking about, flock cameras, all those different things. People are going to want cybersecurity, people who can automate, learn how to use what do you call it, legal experts in IT and IP. IP being intellectual property. And you can see that kind of taking place, right, as you watch Instagram, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. People are creating their own products. They're pulling away from corporations, pulling away from their companies, and becoming entrepreneurs through their lived experience. So they're putting like, my wife is into like reselling stuff. So you see a lot of people who go to Goodwill, they resell stuff, and now they're putting that out to teach you how to resell. So a lot of people are getting into creating their own businesses around the things that they've experienced. So that's just going to continue to grow. I saw that that's going to be nearly what I think $1 trillion industry, intellectual property over the next few decades. Even what we're doing here, man. You could argue that this is our creative intellectual property, creating a show and a podcast. This is just going to continue in the future.
Yeah. And then it, when we're going over this, it looks like there's going to be a lot of depopulation going on because You know, as they're talking, even when we hit the Social Security part, it's like, when does that what you basic income? The
Oh,
basic income?
universal basic income.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
universal basic income, because they're talking about how our Social Security isn't going to last. It's not going to last for the whole time for us when we get older, unless there's some serious reform being done. You see that right there. So Social
yeah,
Security trust funds that pay retirement and survivors benefit is projected to be depleted by 2033. You know, that's not long from here. And
no,
if our senators and governors and politicians don't fix that, there's going to be a lot of us old people that are going to be dying and hungry if the family structure doesn't change here,
no.
you know. And there's a fight because they're making places smaller so that people don't have enough room to put people into it.
Yeah.
But go,
No, no, that's interesting because I had the opportunity this past year to work with Oregon Health Sciences University. I was doing this study for balancing gait with senior citizens. And to be enrolled in the program, you had to be at least 65 years old and be at danger for fall risk. Being 65 alone is one of the risk falls, but that's a whole nother topic. But what I was able to see is that there's a lot of people in their 90s, almost 100 years old, just still around thriving. So that's why I find this conversation interesting about who's going to take care of these older people. Um, but the biggest thing is going to be, are the economics going to be there so they can sustain themselves? Because the technology exists to keep people alive. A lot of these people, I mean, the oldest person I worked with was 98, and they were like, "Oh, I'm one of the youngsters here. There's Joe down the hall who's 101, still walking around doing this thing, independent living." So we have the capability to live that long, providing you do the right things. But is the money going to be there? And that social security piece is huge. And most of these people I was working with, they had the financial means to be able to put themselves up in these retirement communities and things like that. So I guess the question is, are the economics going to be there? It's a big problem to solve, especially as the technology allows us to live longer. But how do you keep people alive with when the money's not there? I don't
right.
have the answer. It's an interesting one to kind of think about.
The only way to keep people alive when the money is not there is for people to live with their families, and for the older people like us to start doing stuff like sprouting, and growing our own food, and using home remedies and stuff that we used to do a long time ago. Go back to
Yeah,
using those type of medicines and the natural, holistic type of medicines. But then you got this with the global warming causing all kinds of changes that's going to be
yeah,
destroying land in these lands that is going to be, looks like, going to be destroying the coastal lands. There's a lot of good soil there, to grow things, so we got that to deal with, which is going to cause a lot of diseases and cause a lot of, I mean, and that's through mosquitoes, and then a little bit of famine, you know.
yeah. I mean, that's an interesting here. We're still talking about how America's going to be shaped in 2050. We're just going over the talking points on this article here. How will America look about a year 2050? So I'm gonna jump back down, man. This is one you mentioned earlier about internal migration, how it will redraw the political map. And you're talking about gerrymandering and things like that, and how the districts are being shaped. And this is huge because it does piggyback with what you were saying earlier when we were talking about the flock cameras. Where you live at has a big tell on how this technology is implemented. And a lot of that is based on how the votes go in those specific areas.
Right.
Where I live, where I live in Oregon, it's very it's not very densely populated for a state the size that it is. There's only like one major metropolitan area in the whole state, and that's Portland. But the state itself is huge. So with that, it's a lot of rugged terrain that has been untapped when you talk about the political climate. So that means it's more of a, um, I guess, more of a rural type of thinking, more family oriented state than some places that are very, what do you call it, metropolitan like. Like Nevada is kind of similar too. It only has one major metropolitan area, and the thinking is much different there than it is across the whole state, just like it is in Oregon.
Yeah, and then you got right here the housing crisis, and there are a lot of younger people that aren't seeing that they are going to be able to actually be owners, own people's homes. And a lot of adults right now are renting. There's people our age that are renting and not owning their own home or even trying to own their own home. And even with that idea, even if a person does like have property and have their house, I wonder if by 2050, will the taxes go up so high that a person cannot maintain the property tax for a house that they already own, because it's getting bad even for people with HOAs. These HOAs are just going up and up and up. And I'm in the HOA, so I know that is real. And I talk to a lot of people from other HOAs, at least here in Vegas. And all of the HOAs are going higher and higher and higher. I remember when we got here in 2013, our HOA fee that went up, as far as percentage, I don't know, but I'll say it went up $80. $80 a month from where it was. And it's only going more, growing.
Yeah.
So that is something that is really important to take care of. So right now, I think people need to stop. Whoever's struggling, whoever is buying their house right now, and you have children, keep your children with you. Don't kick them out. Let them go to school and live at your house. Make them get a job and put money into the house. And when they put money in the house, don't just say, okay, we putting the money in the house and you're going to buy the food and I'm going to buy the food. Hey, some of this, start teaching them economics and make them start paying for not so much rent, but show them the bill. Educate them. This is how much our mortgage costs. Put some money from your job. I know you only they might only be making $100 a week. Give us $10 out of that $100 because mortgage hits us in the mouth too. You know what I mean? Yeah, just give us $10. We'll throw that straight in the mortgage. But you still gotta buy some food too for the house or do some kind of chores, something. But so that your house can be paid for by the time they get older, so that they can have the house. And as you getting older, make sure you put the house in their name. So, go back over the paperwork, put the house in their name. So if you pass, they don't have to go through all the garbage. Their name is already on that mortgage, already on the deed for the house. Go ahead and do the work. Do the work now because it is that important. So your children can have a place to live, so they don't have to be renting. And then start teaching them the value of living or having a base to go back to instead of always bouncing around, because that stuff that Elon Musk is talking about, I don't own nothing. He's a multi-billion, trillionaire. Oh no, he's about to be a trillionaire. So he doesn't have to own anything because he owns everything. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to have a house because he has the ability and he can afford to go from here to here to here to here at any time he wants. Plus, he has that celebrity status. Yeah, they come stay with us for free. So we can't listen to their way of living. Well, a lot of us can't because we're not trillionaires. We're not multi-billionaires, you know? So make sure you get your house taken care of, you know? That's really important. We can go ahead and move. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, those are great points. I did want to say about that. Um, yeah, the point you make is fantastic about pooling money together because as we know, real estate has been one of the real estate and property ownership has been one of the largest wealth creation vehicles in history. But also as while you're doing what Ali said and you're letting your kids stay at your home, one of the biggest things that's going to be driving the economy in the future is intellectual property. So if you could teach your children or your children have something to offer, how can you monetize that intellectual property that your family or you have to use that as a wealth creation vehicle as well? Because it's experience is the greatest teacher, and we all have experiences, and sometimes we have experiences that we can monetize if we really look at them closely enough, and that can be a property vehicle that you can pass down wealth for as well. You know what I mean? If you were a plumber and you create a manual on how to do plumbing, you
Right,
teach your children how to plumb, and now they got a manual that they could sell or teach that skill. That's property as well. It's just up here. So
right.
make sure we're capitalizing on that. You
Yeah,
know what I
not
mean? So
worrying about licensing because that right there is the trap so that people don't be able to move from one place to another freely or gain their own money. That so if they have the money, if they have that information, if they have that information, they can sell it, and would be easier for them to get that licensing. And we're right here at renewable energy. That's really big here in Las Vegas. I don't know how about over out there in Oregon.
renewable energy is coming bigger. I know something just got signed to add more charging stations for electric vehicles and stuff like that. Um, as I mentioned earlier, Oregon is very um, not backwards, but not as advanced as other states, from what I can tell, as far as infrastructure and things like that, because it's so much of it is so rural. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
I'm in the second largest kind of metro area, and it's only like 300 some thousand people here. So things are changing, shifting. The electric grid is kind of old here, so I definitely see that taking off in the future. So it looks like we got about what 2 minutes, man.
yeah, we can
Get ready to
go. We
wrap
can
this thing.
go over, but or we can just hit this later. We can keep on going. It's whatever you like to do, brother.
Healthcare more expensive. I'd say we can end it on this one, man. I mean, we know healthcare is getting more expensive and more personalized. That's going to continue to grow, especially when people can start to. I've noticed as I've been in the fitness industry that people are becoming more savvy when it comes to understanding what's going on with themselves with the advent of AI, Google, all those things. So that's just going to continue. But I mean, we can end on this last one because you touched on it a couple times. The definition of family will continue to evolve. I think that's
Yeah,
important. We could probably a good note to end on because
yeah.
you
Before
know
we
we
end
all
on
have
that one,
family.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we end on that one, we gonna go ahead and hit the other one that they said is a change. It's real quick though.
Yeah, go for it.
The politics,
This one,
America.
the American democracy.
Yeah, that right there, we don't have to think about because of the Epstein files and everything that has happened, and we haven't been able to change. We haven't been able to do anything about the pedophiles. We haven't been able to do anything about the wars. We haven't been able to do anything about the people come stealing children. So that part, the politics of America, we just have to figure out how to do something different as a people. So now let's go into the family.
All right. All right. The American household of 2050 will bear only a passing resemblance to the mid-century norm of married parents and biological children under one roof. Multi-generational living has already been rising. With housing costs increasing, chosen family will continue to gain cultural and increasingly legal recognition. So a chosen family. That's an interesting way to put it. So choosing who you want to live with in the future. And what's interesting is I know here there's so many more like multi-family homes being built versus in comparison to single family homes, which kind of
What's the
I guess
difference? Explain to me the difference between multifamily and single family.
oh, so a single family home is like, you know, you have your residence that's detached from anything else. So multifamily being more like a condo, townhouse, apartment complexes, those types of things versus a single family residence.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Just making sure.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I see a lot of those going up. Fewer siblings, fewer cousins. I have one child. My mom had three of us. There was 15 of them.
Right.
So we definitely see the families shrinking. In fact, I hear more and more people not even wanting children. Uh, especially you know, younger generation. So
Yeah, especially
that's going to be
in
an
Japan
interesting.
too. I know we're talking about America, but that's kind of spilling over here in America, probably because of their culture. They don't want to be a burden to their parents, and they don't want their parents to be a burden to them. So it's just it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that is becoming in this melting pot, and it's the way of thinking, and we need to get out of this way of thinking because this way of thinking is what is making us disconnected. We have to fix that amongst ourselves. We have to fix that amongst ourselves. Just so you know, I can see your screen. There we go. uh, but we have to fix that amongst ourselves in order for us to survive as a people and to continue to have tactile contact and continue to breathe life into one another. Because we are not going to be able to do that with all this disconnecting, with all this, unless the multifamily home you have what he was talking about, like apartments or condos, unless you have your grandmother living over here in that same structure and your cousin living over here in that same structure. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That would be beautiful. That would be beautiful because that's just like one big house and everybody is there to support everybody. You can walk down the hallway and go see grandma, and grandma's in her own structure. I mean, her own house or apartment or whatever. That is something that would be beautiful. And that's what I was talking about, the tribe mentality. We need to start bringing that and keeping that closer. And I'm thankful for the cultures that we have here that are still like that. And I hope we stop making them seem like bad people or a failed culture because they do that for their family. And hopefully they start spitting that out so everybody can grab and understand how much love there is to have your family in the same area. You know what I mean? With you, so you can take care of them, so we can still maintain our libraries, our older people that have that information that we didn't go through, that can share, and then younger people that can give life to the older people, and can still take care of it, and they can see and grow with the grandparents, and they can know what it's like to be old instead of having an idea. They can know my grandmother was loved. I want my family close because my grandmother had 14 grandchildren, that loved her and that took care of her that we seen, or grandpa. Let's not forget grandpa because we're men. I want my children to love me too. But
no doubt.
yeah, well, you can go ahead and get ready to take us out of here, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this was a
Last
fun one,
word.
man. Um, you know, technology is going to shape us one way or the other, and our hope with this conversation was that we start to ask good questions, talk to people around us, so it can help us grow in a way that we become even more connected in this reality and not just online. Because at the end of the day, we live in the real world, the augmented world or the artificial intelligence and the metaverse. All those things just should enhance the world that we live in. And that enhancement in the world that we live in is only strengthened by the connectivity and the relationships we have with those around us. We always hope to bring connectivity with these conversations. Sometimes we dip into conspiracy or different things like that, but at the end of the day, the goal and the desire that we both have is to unite, bring everyone close together so we can have intelligent conversations that do just that. So A to Z, it's been another fun one. So we look forward to seeing you back next week, same time. Have a great one.